Evan.
And I'm Mike.
And welcome to Cooking with Chemistry.
Today we will be learning the chemistry behind baking cupcakes.
We will look at the ingredients and the processes of baking and how each component ties into each other when baking cupcakes.
The first ingredient we'll talk about is flour. The flour is already mixed into this pre-made package of cake mix. The main components of flour are wheat, starch, and a protein called gluten.
When you add water to flour, the mixture becomes hydrated, and the proteins in the flour bond together and form a protein called gluten. Gluten is one of the components that holds the cupcake together.
And generally with cupcakes, you have less gluten than you would with other baked goods.
Eggs are added next to help keep everything stick together, and it also keeps the cupcakes moist. The eggs also retain gas bubbles created by the baking powder. Mixing the batter causes the gluten networks to link together.
Baking powder is the ingredient that helps make the cupcake fluffy. It does this by the reaction that you can see below. The acid in the baking powder neutralizes the strong base of the baking soda so that the cupcakes do not taste bitter.
The sugar, obviously, it's there for the taste. It makes it taste better. But, it also does something that most people don't know that it does. It kind of makes the crustiness, like the slight brown crustiness on the cupcake and with all of the baked goods. And it does this through a reaction called a Maillard reaction, which is essentially an amino acid catalyzed caramelization reaction in which sugar aldehydes are converted to an unsaturated aldehyde or a ketone.
Okay, now we'll take the batter and we'll fill it in our cupcake tray. And as you can see, I'm not filling it all the way up to the top. I'm only filling it about halfway because once we start heating them, then the cupcakes will rise due to the flour and baking powder in the batter. Now we're going to set the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit and we can put the cupcakes in. The oven is where all the reactions occur, so
safety first.
The heat from the oven causes several reactions to occur, such as the Maillard reaction, as said before. The heat causes the proteins to uncoil and gives the cupcake its structure.
The heat also causes the egg to coagulate and kind of form a gel, which also helps form the structure and keep the whole cupcake together.
okay, now different from the cupcakes where there's a lot of chemical reactions with the baking, frosting is basically just a bunch of physical reactions where we take a liquid and a powder like the instant pudding that we were making, and it turns into a gel-like substance. And now we just add some peanut butter, just for the flavor, and whipped cream for texture. And then we simply just mix it.
Got this.
A better way to
Just
mix
simply mix it.
would actually probably use an electric mixer.
Yeah, well, see, actually only cool people use these hand mixers because they're actually a lot better to use.
There's actually been studies done that if you use an electric mixer, it tastes a lot better.
Well, actually, you see, a hand mixer is better for the environment because it does not use electricity, unlike your hand mixer.
Those who use electric mixers are obviously way cooler because, it just works way. Just look at it. It just works way better. Just see. I know. Just get out. I'm doing it. Get out.
I can do this.
Really, 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 really. Oh, come on! Okay, so now that we talked about all the chemical reactions behind baking cupcakes, we also had some physical characteristics that with the cupcakes that we made. As you can see, we made the entire periodic table, and starting with the group 1 and group 2, we did peanut butter and chocolate cupcake. All the metals were a chocolate cupcake, and then the non-metals, we did a white batter, and the metalloids were a marble. So with the group 1 and group 2, we did a peanut butter filling with some Reese's crumbs inside of it, because these metals tend to be a lot softer and don't regularly occur in nature, like the transition metals do.
I'm telling you.
Whiskey, really? No.
That doesn't even
Electric.
that doesn't even have mixers in it.
Electric. That's not even a hit biscuit. That's a whisk.
I'll give you a whisk.
Okay, over here, over here,
Whisk,
over
a
here.
whisk. Okay,
Over
that sounds
here,
like
come on,
whiskers.
over
Whiskers
here.
don't
No,
work
come here,
for
come
mixing.
All right.
You know what?
So our next cupcake were the transition metals, and for these, they were Death by Chocolate cupcakes. So since it was metal, we had a chocolate filling, but since they tend to be more hard, they're harder and they occur in nature alone. We had a Heath bar filling, which represents how they're harder than the other metals. And then for the transition metals that are also radioactive, the majority of these are after 84 for the atomic number, but there are 2 that are before that. And we have the green to represent that they're radioactive.
I'm telling you. The
Okay.
only thing that's good for it is
This?
making noise.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, all it says is
I
making
can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, you want
I
to
can't
come
hear
in
what you're saying.
on these
Alright,
videos?
okay. Once again, come on over here, back to chemistry. Now, when we got over to the metalloids, since they're a combination of both characteristics from non-metals and metals, we did marble so we have chocolate and white cake. And then the frosting is also a chocolate and a whipped cream frosting to represent how they share characteristics of both. And lastly, we have the gases. And for the gases, we did a chocolate mousse filling to represent how light they are, with a white frosting and a white whipped cream frosting and white cake. So not only did we describe the chemistry behind baking our cupcakes and the periodic table of elements, but each of the cupcakes also represent some physical characteristics that the elements have in the periodic table.
You're not going to win this argument. I'm telling you, a whisk works
Every
better.
single cupcake I've had with this tastes 20 times better.
No, I bet it doesn't, because the whisk is the only thing that makes good cupcakes.
Wicks, they can't make cupcakes.
You can't mix with it. Oh, here, look.